Welcome to PBI Radio, everyone. It's Chris Guns, and my guest today is Ohio native, amateur phenom, Wilkins Santiago. Wilkins should have actually been a champion in the pro ranks by now, but he had to do a few years for cocaine trafficking, which he talks about openly. And he's got a great story to tell, and he knows how to tell it. And I think he could do it a lot better than I can. So without further ado, from Incarceration to boxing Reincarnation, Wilkins Santiago is our guest today. And welcome, Wilkins. Wilkins Santiago, welcome to PBI Radio, man. Thanks for being
here. All right, how you doing?
Good. So tell me about yourself. You're born in Lorain, right? Lorain, Ohio?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was raised in Lorain, but I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, that's right. I heard that. So
yeah.
How old were you when you moved to Ohio?
About 6 years old. We came in '86.
Yeah. So what was it like coming up in Lorain?
Well, I kind of got adjusted to the lifestyle. Pretty quick. I was young, so I had older brothers and sisters and stuff like that that I looked up to, and I pretty much blended in with the crowd pretty good. Everyone around welcomed me with open arms and stuff like that. And everything just came along, at the right time. And boxing came into play in '89, 3 years after. So ever since then, just Lorain native now.
Yeah. Is it a tough city to grow up in, Lorain?
No, I won't say a tough city, but everyone pretty much does their own thing, does their part. So I basically, I got drifted off into boxing. That's what I've been doing since.
And what's the Santiago household like when you were coming up? Who was in it?
Well, my mother and father, both parents. Now they are separated, but my dad was an alcoholic growing up. I had a brother that at a young age ended up being a heroin addict and stuff like that. Now, to the grace of God, he's clean now, and it was pretty tough. As a kid growing up, seeing my father coming home as an alcoholic, putting his hands on my mother and stuff like that. I was young. I just made sure I stayed focused and continued doing what I had to do, and that was it basically.
How old were you when you got into boxing, and who got you interested?
I was 9. A family relative actually.
You what? I didn't hear you.
I was 9 years old. A family relative actually was the one that he used to train. He was actually into the martial arts, and he had me go to a gym, and boxing just basically just caught my heart. Caught my heart, and just the whole aspect of seeing men in there, basically pouring everything out on bags and skipping rope and the shadow boxing and all that. Just basically caught me, and since a kid, that's what my heart followed since.
Yeah. Were you good at it right away?
I was pretty good. I was number 2 in the country for quite a while as a kid. I placed in the jails. I took runner up in the jails from 94, 95. And fought the Golden Gloves a few times ago as I got a little older in high school and stuff like that. Actually, I lost to one of the Olympic alternates, Terrell Gausha of this year. He fought in the 2012 Olympics. And, I pretty much held my own, man. I was very dedicated as a kid growing up. And then, to this day, I'm still at that gym and hopefully shooting for a world title one day.
Yeah, you got so good that you had actually Olympic hopes, right? You actually wanted to make the Olympic team.
Yeah, I did actually. I also fought Ricardo Williams, Jr. from Cincinnati, which was the 2000 silver medalist in the Olympics. Tony the Tiger Hanshaw, which I'm sure some of you guys probably are familiar with the name. Fought Roy Jones Jr. a couple years back. So I got some good. I actually got in there with some pretty good guys that has been on that level, on that world class level, and as a kid, yeah, we all like to go to the Olympics and represent our country to the fullest, But I had a little setback in my life where I got caught up in the streets, and I ended up going away and doing a little time. So that was a little setback that made me open my eyes as a man and really see life for what it was. And I just came back to, to boxing, the sport that's drawn me since a kid.
Yeah, you actually you finished your amateur. You missed out on the Olympics, and how'd you feel when you didn't make the Olympics? Did it really hurt you?
Yeah, it did, but at the same time, it gave me a different view of that. Sometimes things just ain't meant to be, and things will fall in place when they're at its proper timing. Mm-hmm. So I took it for what it was worth. I got all the experience and everything I can out of the opportunity, and just came back to the gym, man, and just basically made myself a gym rat and continue to fight for what I want in life, and that's to be a successful young man, a good father, a good role model to kids, and hopefully hold a world title one day.
Yeah, that sounds great, man. And when you did miss out on the Olympics, that's when you ran into your trouble, like right after that, right?
Well, actually, yeah. That's when I got a little careless. I ended up on the streets messing with drugs and stuff like that, and basically like most boys growing up. Try to take the fast way out of life, and it all caught up to me, and I actually look at it as a. Some people may think it's crazy and sound crazy, but it was actually a blessing that happened to me because it put me in my place and made me think of life, as more important than what I always thought. Made me see myself as a man and evaluate myself and say, this ain't you. Snap out of it. You're somebody else and you're living the lie.
Yeah, people hear how talented people are sometimes, and they think they might be exaggerating or joking. But when you were 12 years old, you actually were sparring a guy who was getting ready to fight lightweight champ Paul Spadafora, and he actually fought Paul Spadafora after your sparring match. You sparred with him when you were 12, right?
And are you talking about Keyless?
Yeah, he fought Paul Spadafora, and a lot of people think he deserved the decision.
Right.
And you broke his nose, didn't you?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Man.
Well, as a kid, man, I had a heart, man. I was in there with warriors, older men who were on top of their game, and the only way to learn was to either to put it out there and put it on them, or they're gonna put it on you and show you what it is, So I was the type. I grew up with a big heart, man. I was in a family where I had to stand up on my own, and I had older brothers that at times would basically whoop my ass. Excuse my language, but that's what it was. So I had to stand up on my own, and being in a gym where I was one of the least experienced guys in there. These guys were older. They already were, in their prime doing their thing. I caught on pretty quick, and the tables got reversed where I was giving the ass whooping instead.
Yeah. Yeah, man, and that's incredible. Just 12 years old and almost making a guy lose his championship fight, but he fought the fight and fought a good fight, and you went on to have a great amateur career still, and you messed up after not making the Olympic team. You got caught trafficking cocaine, right? And were you using it or were you just selling it?
I was selling it, but there was a time where I let myself go, and I ended up trying and using it a few times. And like I said, that prison experience was what really opened my eyes and told myself, man, you're in the wrong path. This ain't true.
Yeah. See, a lot of people don't have that ability to look at themselves and think like that. But you're a thinking guy, But,
yeah, you gotta be. I mean, especially if you're in that ring. If you ain't thinking, that somebody else thinking for you.
That's right, man. And you got sentenced to how many years?
5 years.
5 years, and you served all 5?
All 5.
Wow. And you
ended up. It actually was during the time where I started slipping in high school in my senior year, and I actually dropped out of high school, man. And the following year, when I was already out a year that I didn't graduate, I ended up in the streets. Caught that case. Had 5 years. So while in prison, I had time to think, and I put all my thoughts in perspective, and I said, you know what, I got to catch myself. This ain't me. And I was born a true champion, and I'm going to rise up. So I ended up taking, I got my GED in there. I actually attended college courses and got my associate's degree. So, I made something out of nothing, basically. I took that situation and reversed it into a positive instead of leaving it at a negative.
And a lot of people don't know, but you served that time in the same prison that the Shawshank Redemption was filmed in, right?
Correct, on a yard, yep, which is Richland Correctional. The old Mansfield was closed, which is the castle. where you see the towers in the Shawshank Redemption movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually on the yard of that, where the guys in the movie were filming the killings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was a big, it was definitely an experience, man. I got a book that I'm actually halfway into the book, and it's an amazing story about my whole life. And I just basically want to be an inspiration to these kids growing up now, that don't ever think it's too late. When you think you're at your rock bottom, that's when you can climb up and turn it into something positive.
Totally right, man. And no matter how great you are as a fighter, you could be an even bigger. You could have a bigger impact on kids all over the world with the story you got. So you could turn that easily into a positive, and you have the ability to with what you're doing too. So I think you could do it. And when you first got sent to jail, you were put in a cell with 2 other guys, right? And
right.
It's a rough jail, but you.
Oh yeah, it's rough.
You beat a guy damn near to death, right? You beat a guy up, and they sent you to the hole for 90 days. Yeah. Is that what that was? So tell me about that, man. How'd that happen? You go into jail, and you're not used to being around this many wild people, but. Right.
Well, it was tough, man. I got tested a lot of times, man, and I got into one scuffle at the time I basically I had to earn my respect, man. Some people knew of me, but there's some that just basically they might not see another day of life. You know what I'm saying? So they ain't got nothing to lose, basically. Yeah. So they're gonna test you. And me, I knew that I'm not just gonna let no guy just punk me off, especially in the situation I'm in. Because when you do that in prison cell, in a prison environment, they're just gonna take advantage of you. Yep. So I basically, I stood my own, and the outcome was what it was, and I ended up during my whole bit, I kind of like stuck around older guys, wise men who's been down and stuff like that. I never hung around guys of my age and stuff like that, because they were still into the games and young-minded. And so I knew that for me to get my mind right and start thinking like I should be thinking, like a man should be, I surrounded myself around those guys where I knew that were to no bullshit. They had their mind together and was looking at life in a more positive note and in change. So that's basically how I spend my time. I got myself together, got my education out of it, and took as many programs as I can. I mentored kids that came from the streets. I took a program called Heart to Heart, which I mentored kids that came from the street, and gave them a little bit of my story and tried to touch them to open their eyes before it's too late and end up in the situation I was in.
Mm-hmm. And you did that 90 days in the hole for fighting, and then you got out, and you kept getting in trouble for shadow boxing. You're trying to stay in shape, trying to stay sharp, trying to keep your skills up, and they didn't want you shadow boxing, and they throw you in the hole for another 90 days every time you get caught, right?
Right. I got it for shadow boxing, and they threw me in the hole for cutting hair on the yard.
Cutting hair?
Because I also was a little barber in there as well.
You're the man of many talents.
You can't let, time is too precious to waste. So, I try to pick up any tool I can. I was already good with my hands, so why not pick up some clippers and get that rolling as well.
Yeah. Did the warden know that you were a great fighter too? And did you try to get like a boxing program or permission to do anything boxing wise?
Well, I tried, and every time I tried, they kept declining and saying that it will start, riots and stuff like that. But that's what I love to do, man. And we don't have nothing in there as far as with boxing equipment and stuff like that. So our thing was for punch mitts, we use sandals. We put sandals on our hands, and those are our punch mitts.
Doing something.
So we made something out of nothing, basically. And I did everything else as far as the cardio work and the shadow boxing, and there was times where I just have guys looking around for me in every corner and every angle, making sure CEOs don't pop up on me, just so we could get our training up, because that's what we love to do, and that's what wasted most of our time.
So you mentioned other guys. Who else was in there with you, boxing?
I had a guy named Lowdown out of Cleveland, which was my main guy who trained me. Mm-hmm. I had Jimmy Harris, which is currently still incarcerated for a double homicide he pulled in I believe in 1972 in Cleveland.
Wow.
Another guy that held me down. I had some old school guys that basically was there for me, man. That still believed in my dream and continued to keep me level-headed and straight, and wouldn't let me get into no BS. When there was times where something might kick off and they felt like I was in any type of danger, they'll tell me to leave the other way, and they took over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had guys who really put their chest out there for me.
Yeah. I mean, the warden started seeing clippings of you from the paper, and then he realized you're a really good boxer, but he was still trying to prevent you from doing it, huh?
Well, it came to a point where he finally said, you know what, I see that you're not into no messing around, not causing any havoc and stuff like that. You know, if somebody rolls up on you, don't tell them that I told you, but I don't care if you do it to the side. You know, just make sure that you don't do it where a big, large crowd forms up, because it'll start riots or cause drama. So I kind of, he kind of finally respected for what I did, and basically went along with it. You know, some of the COs started getting on my side too, on my team, and seeing that this was my business. This is what I do. It's my career.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and them reading the clippings as a kid that this is what I did, they basically, finally respected what I did and allowed it for some time.
And when you got out of jail, you were weighing about 190 pounds, right?
Right, I was kind of heavy still.
Yeah. What was life like when you did come back on the streets, and as opposed to 5 years earlier?
Oh man, it was. I mean, everything changed, man. The people that when you first went in, they were completely down, man. A lot of them stuck on drugs, or drug addicts themselves. Some of them were still doing what I was doing, was selling drugs. People. And then you had those who I call fakers, because they're cool with you before you go in. When you go in, they don't even know you. Then when you come out, they try to act like they're still your best friends, But that time made me see everything for what it really was. And I held my head up high. I did my time. I did my crime, and everybody pretty much respected me on the street level. That I wasn't nobody that most guys, when they're put in my position from where I'm from here in Lorraine,
mm-hmm.
most guys will break, man. The law, they get these guys and they break. They quick to roll over, which they call snitches out here. And I held my own. I was loyal to a lot of people out here, even though I went away and did the time. I mean, I did the crime, so I got the utmost respect when I came home.
Yeah, man. What year was that?
I called my case in 2001. I finally got sentenced in 2003 and made it home in 2008.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big rigmarole. So you turned pro, and you got a nice signing bonus, right? But then you after having given up 5 years of your life in jail, you had to deal with the business side of boxing too, and it brought you back to a fight in the courtroom again. This time to get yourself out of a contract. Do you want to get into that court case and who the battle was against?
Well, I don't want to throw no names out there as far as who the battle was against, but it was a local promoter that came out the blue, offered me some money to I'm coming home fresh. I ain't got nothing left, thinking nobody's gonna give me a chance because nobody was talking, nobody was opening doors for me, so I signed. He offered me a certain amount of fights within a year, and he didn't fulfill his contract. So I was at that point where I caught up quick. When I came home, most people thought it'll take more time, but as an amateur, right when I came home, I did five, 6 amateur fights, and right away I was with the #1 guy in the country, Terrell Gausha out of Cleveland. He held the 165 pound as an amateur for 2-3 years in a row, and right away coming home from 5 years, not having much training and none of that, I was already in there slugging it out with him. I actually beat him in the Cleveland Golden Gloves, and I got robbed of the decision. And come to find out, it was very political. Somebody in the commission told me, I'm not going to put a name out there, but he said, you're an ex-convict. They're not going to let you represent the United States, dude. He said, this guy's been in here. He's been all over countries and stuff like that. They were going to give him that decision no matter how bad you whooped him. So, above all that, with the court stuff, I got out the contract, and finally, right now I sit at 6-0, ready for my 7th fight here in Kentucky, and God's working through me, man. There's times where I get setbacks where my fights get pulled off, but I'm still at that gym, man. I'm not letting go. This is my dream, and until I hold that world title, I don't care if it's at 35, 40, 45. I'm gonna get it one day.
So after you got out of prison, you actually boxed as an amateur again?
Yeah, I boxed as an amateur. Yeah, I went right back to the amateur status. I wanted a couple fights before I turned pro.
Okay, and you actually sparred with Fernando Valenzuela, didn't you? Did you?
Actually, I fought Fernando Venezuela and beat him here in Cleveland.
Oh, okay. Wow, man. And
just
beat him up.
I beat him in Cleveland, and like I said, I fought the 2012 Olympic alternate Terrell Gausha, and shit, I whooped him in his hometown. They robbed me. I took him on here in Lorraine, and I was whooping him every round. And then the third round, he catches me with a lucky ass right hand, drops me. I shoot right back up. I didn't. First time I've ever been off my feet in 22 years. You know, and they gave him the decision again. But like I said, boxing's political. You know, and I just decided to turn pro. Now I sit at 6-0. You know, and still moving.
How do you feel when you see him represent America for the Olympics and knowing you deserve the decision? How do you feel?
Yeah, it bothers, but at the same time, it makes me see who I am. You know, it makes me know deep inside that, you know, I beat him. You know, it's cool that they gave him the decision, but deep down inside, as long as I'm happy with myself, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody knows it's on the internet. Whoever wants to look it up, it's on the internet. 2009 Cleveland Golden Gloves. Everybody can see it for themselves. Wilkins Santiago versus Terrell Gausha. And you guys tell me. I mean, it's obvious that I whooped him. So
when you decided to turn pro, what was it that made you decide that it was time?
Well, you know, my age, you know, and, you know, getting out of prison at 28 years old, I had to make a change, you know, even though I was well preserved, you know, because I'm someone like the Bernard Hopkins story, you know, but, you know, Bernard's like a 1 in a million chance that you get somebody's body the way of Bernard, you know, but Bernard was a big inspiration of mine, in which he went away and did 5 years as well, and, you know, came home, and his story just basically, you know, explains itself.
Yeah, did you ever talk to Bernard?
Actually, I didn't, but I was supposed to be on the Porter undercard on at the Wolstein Center when Porter fought here. Russell Jordan, I believe he fought, and my guy, something happened with my guy. He caught some type of case that I didn't get to fight on the card. But Bernard was a commentator on that fight card, and he mentioned my name and said about, you know, the similarity of me and him doing time, and, you know, that he heard good things about me. And that right there, man, meant a lot to me to hear from a guy like Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah,
you know,
that's incredible. It's incredible, man. And you actually spar Sean Porter a lot, don't you?
Yeah, me and Sean sparred a few times. I actually got Sean ready for the fight he had out in with Guerrero. I mean, not Guerrero. Alfonso Gomez.
Oh, you got him ready for that fight?
Yeah. Me and Sean did some sparring for that fight as well.
And you went to Jersey to fight, actually, and they saw Sean Porter walk you into the ring when he was a commentator for the fight, right? Yeah,
he commentated. Yeah, he was a commentator for that fight. Actually, I took on a hometown guy out of Jersey. You know, Orlando Swain. Actually, he was 5-1 at the time. He was from New Jersey. I took him in his hometown, and, you know, I went over there and basically whooped that ass. You know, I carried that marvelous Marvin Hagler. What he always says, man, I don't care whose backyard I'm in. When we in that ring, that's my backyard. So when I went over there, I was very confident. You know, I knew I had the skills, and I put my tools to work, and, you know, I came out with the victory.
Yeah, and they still tried to do a little funny stuff on the scorecards, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yep.
But you love body shots. That's one of the things you like to do. Where'd that come from? Who'd you love coming up? What fighters did you watch?
Oh, I like the old school fighters, man. The Durans, the Chavez, the Benitez, the Haglers, the Sugar Rays. Those are my style of fighting, man. The guys who basically, much respect to the guys now in the game, but the guys who did the sport for the love of the sport, not the money.
Yeah.
You know, the guys who poured their blood, their tears, everything into the game, and you know, the Salvatore Sanchez, the old school fighters were the guys that the Arguellos, them guys there, man. Those were the guys that really, you know, drew me to boxing itself. El Chapo, those guys there, man. That's boxing.
Yeah. So you're a student of the game. I like that, man.
Yeah, I love boxing, man. Boxing's everything to me, man.
So you turned pro in 2010. It was. Who'd you fight? You remember who you fought and where it was and what the result was?
The first guy I fought was I believe Torrance King was my first opponent.
Got it.
Unanimous decision.
Yeah. And how'd you feel
in the second round with a body shot? He got back up trying to finish him, but he held on.
Yeah. And how'd you feel getting that first pro fight and the no headgear and the little gloves and no shirt, and you're finally able to start your pro career after all that time waiting and thinking about it? How'd that feel, man?
Oh, it felt good, man. I was actually comfortable, man. I went in there a little, with butterflies in my stomach because, finally getting that headgear off after so many years, of amateur, but I was very excited to get in there and finally, get a taste of what it feels like to be a professional fighter. So, the experience was good, man. I had my hometown behind me. A lot of people come out to see me. I got a good drawing, so it felt good, ecstatic, man.
Yeah. And since then, you have 5 more wins, and you did all this without a solid trainer, one that you didn't know who you were going to be with from fight to fight. Now you're moving to the West Coast, right?
Yeah, to the West Coast, yeah.
And you decided to train with Livingstone Bramble at the Hit Factory, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who's been training you this far? The same guy? Same people?
Yeah, the same guy. I grew up as an amateur. He's a little older. He's about 75 now, and also he has his personal trainer, which is Sammy Aponte, who was a Georgia State champion. For quite some time, he actually went to the Navy, I believe it was, or the Air Force, and fought there as well. But there are 2 guys that have been working with me. But it's time to step it up to the next level, man, to the world class level. And I know I have the tools to do it, man. I believe in myself. I believe that God has a purpose and a plan for me in life, and I'm gonna take it out to the West Coast.
You got it. And did you meet with Livingstone Bramble yet?
Yeah, I communicate with him several times over the phone. He calls me a lot of times. Actually, I got a call from him day before yesterday, and he was telling me, my son's so excited about you. He keeps watching your fights, and he loves the way you fight.
Yeah, man. Yep. I think it's going to be How do you feel about moving to the West Coast and training out there?
Oh, shit, I'm happy, man. The only thing that bothers me, I have little kids. I have toddler kids that are, 3, 2, and 1. They're all boys.
Wow.
So it makes it a little easier because they're boys. If it was a girl, it'd be a little harder. But they're boys. They're going to be put in a position as myself one day where they're going to have to make adjustments and moves and sacrifices. So, I got to do this not only for myself but for their future.
Yeah.
So, I'm definitely up for it. I'm ready to take the challenge, and I'm ready to make it happen.
And you were supposed to be fighting in like 48 hours Saturday. And was Livingstone supposed to be in your corner?
He wasn't going to be able to make this one.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about getting him into Kentucky, the Kentucky fight I have coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it happens, it happens. If not, I've been in this game for a long time. I know how to go in there and adjust to people's style. And, I'm just going for that victory, man, to keep climbing up the rankings.
And you were set to fight, what was his name? His name was Jacob Stairs, right? He actually, he fought prospect Mike Lee. He was a top-ranked guy. And what'd you know about him?
Mike Lee. Well, I've seen that fight with Mike Lee, and Mike Lee is nothing spectacular, man. If they feed him to me now, I know I'll beat him. But I know they're not. Boxing is a sport where they're gonna protect their money maker. Their crowd favorite, the guy who draws. So, it's respectable. But guy didn't surprise me much. I think the way I fight, my style of fighting, I would have went in there and took care of Steers. That's it.
Yeah. How frustrating is it though to have a fight be taken away when you were just a few days away?
It's frustrating, man. Just the other night I was having trouble not sleeping because so anxious, here in my hometown, sacrificing time away from my kids because I got to be at the gym getting prepared for my fight, not being able to eat the foods that I want to eat, It's hard, man, but it's boxing, it's a sport of dedication, of time, sacrifice, and you just got to accept everything that comes along with it. And I chose to take on it, and this is what I do. This is what I was put on earth to do, and I respect it all the way around.
And how many kids you have? All boys?
I have 3. Yeah, I have 3 boys biologically, and 1 that I've raised. So you say 4.
Wow, man. So you're an inspiration to kids that aren't even yours, man.
Right,
incredible, man. It's an easy guy to root for. How many people were they expecting in your hometown? I heard you got a real big following already. right?
Yeah. Well, actually, the building holds 5,000, so we was trying to pack the house.
Wow, how'd you get such a big following already?
Well, I believe my style of fighting, man. I come to fight, man. I come to give people what they want. I come to give people their money's worth. I don't want nobody to leave the building without saying, man, that dude's bad.
Yeah, man.
He comes to fight. He leaves it all in that ring, and that's what I want. I want people to know that when they come to a boxing show, you're not gonna see a guy just slapping people around and running. You're gonna see a guy who's in there pouring it out.
Yep.
Who's showing you why he trains the way he trains.
And you got a great team around you. You got Eddie Gonzalez as I guess somewhat of a manager and advisor somewhat. And you got Livingstone Bramble, so you've got a great team around you. You're busy with media events and interviews. How do you feel to have gone from being incarcerated to trying this boxing reincarnation? How do you feel about that?
Oh man, it feels good. It feels great, actually, man. I just take it one day at a time and thank God for giving me every opportunity that's opening up for me. These doors that are opening, man. Everybody that's in my path, they're in my path for a reason. So, I just take it in stride and continue to do what I do, stay focused, and make sure I'm at that gym.
And you're a good guy with a great story, and you're a great role model. I'm sure you're going to have tons of fans, and I'm sure you got a lot already, especially in Ohio. What do you got to say to your fans?
Oh man, my fans are everything, man. Those are basically that's like family, man. When we talk about fans, man, those are the people who take time out of their daily lives, their daily routines, which are busy schedules. I'm sure, the people who come to pay and watch me, man. So I want to give these people, I tip my hats off to these people, because these people are the ones that when I'm in there, I feel fatigue or I feel like I'm down on these scorecards. They're the ones who push me to keep pushing and striving for that W. My fans mean everything to me. I get nothing but love from my fans, and I just want them to know that when I'm in there, I put my heart out for them. We're all family in this. We're all in this together. Yeah. So I'm just thankful and grateful for people that are on my team and continue to be on my team. And I'm speechless at times, because the way these people are when they're at my fights, these people, they scream their lungs off. They leave the building without voices at times, So I'm just grateful, man, that I got the people behind me that I do.
And how do they reach out to you? You on Twitter or Facebook or anything?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Facebook. Wilkins Santiago. I got a Wilkins Santiago fan page on the Facebook. You can find me at Wilkins Santiago, also on Twitter. So I'm just trying to branch out to every media source and do all these interviews and stuff like that. I'm open to anything, man. I'm open to the public, to everybody to reach out to me, man, and get to know me as a person, and because it's important to know people not only inside the ring but outside the ring as well. And I try to carry myself humbly and focus to reach my goal.
Wilkins Santiago from Incarceration to Boxing Reincarnation. Easy guy to root for, and I appreciate your time, my man. Good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.